On June 24, 2009, Michael Jackson woke up at his rented mansion in Los Angeles. He had no idea it was the last day of his life. He was 50 years old, a legend, an icon. The greatest entertainer the world had ever seen. But behind closed doors, he was broken, exhausted, afraid. He was preparing for something massive, his comeback concert tour. This is it, 50 sold-out shows in London. Millions of fans waiting, the whole world watching. Tickets had sold out in minutes. People had flown from every corner of the world just to see him perform one more time. But Michael was struggling. People close to him said he had lost dramatic amounts of weight. He was not eating properly. He was not sleeping at all. His body was shutting down, but his mind was still fighting. That morning, Michael spent time with his 3 children. Prince, Paris and Blanket. He played with them, laughed with them. Those who saw them together said Michael seemed happy in those moments. Like a normal father, like a man who had everything to live for. By afternoon, his mood had changed. He grew quiet, withdrawn. He told one of his staff members that he felt something was wrong. That he had a bad feeling. He could not explain. Nobody took it seriously. They thought he was just nervous about the tour. At 5 p.m., Michael began preparing for his final rehearsal. He put on his clothes, his famous black fedora, his white sequin glove, and he left his mansion for the last time. At 7 p.m. that evening, Michael Jackson took the stage at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. For the last time in his life, those who were there said it was one of the greatest performances they had ever seen. He danced, he sang, he commanded the entire stage alone, despite everything his body was going through. On that stage, he was still a god, one crew member said. Watching him perform that night was something he would never forget for the rest of his life. He said Michael looked completely alive up there, completely in control. Nobody in that building had any idea they were watching Michael Jackson perform for the very last time. Nobody said goodbye. Nobody knew. He just finished, took a bow, and walked off the stage forever. After rehearsal, Michael returned to his mansion late that night. His personal doctor, Conrad Murray, was already waiting for him inside. Michael was exhausted. His hands were shaking, his body was weak. He begged Murray to help him sleep. Michael had not slept properly in months. He told Murray that he needed to rest before the tour began. That his body could not take much more. Conrad Murray agreed. He set up an IV drip in Michael's bedroom, and then he did something that no responsible doctor should ever do. He administered propofol, a drug so powerful, so dangerous, that it is normally only used in hospital operating rooms. With full emergency equipment, with trained medical staff standing by. Murray gave it to Michael Jackson, alone in a bedroom, and then he left. At 12:22 p.m. on June 25, 2009, Conrad Murray walked back into Michael Jackson's bedroom and found him not breathing. He panicked, he called for help, but it was already too late. Paramedics arrived and rushed Michael to the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. Doctors worked on him for over an hour, trying everything, fighting to bring him back. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was officially pronounced dead. The news spread across the world in seconds. Fans collapsed in the streets, radio stations stopped playing music. Television channels went silent, the entire world stopped. Because the man who had given everything to music was gone. Conrad Murray was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. The trial lasted weeks. Evidence showed that Murray had been giving Michael propofol every single night for months, using it as a sleeping aid, something no doctor in the world would ever consider safe or acceptable. Murray was found guilty and sentenced to 4 years in prison. But he served just 2 years. For the life of Michael Jackson, 2 years. For taking the greatest entertainer in history away from this world forever. Many people felt that justice was never truly served. That the punishment did not fit the crime. That something much darker was being hidden beneath the surface of this case. Conrad Murray was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. The trial lasted weeks. Evidence showed that Murray had been giving Michael propofol every single night for months, using it as a sleeping aid, something no doctor in the world would ever consider safe or acceptable. Murray was found guilty and sentenced to 4 years in prison. But he served just 2 years. For the life of Michael Jackson, 2 years. For taking the greatest entertainer in history away from this world forever. Many people felt that justice was never truly served. That the punishment did not fit the crime. That something much darker was being hidden beneath the surface of this case. Because here is what many people do not know: at the time of his death, Michael Jackson was in serious financial trouble. He owed hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. His Neverland Ranch had been taken from him. His reputation had been destroyed by years of controversy and media attacks. But the This Is It tour was going to change everything. 50 shows in London alone were expected to generate over $400 million. Michael was about to become the richest entertainer in history all over again. And then he died, just weeks before it all began. After his death, the value of Michael Jackson's estate exploded. Billions of dollars were generated from his music, his image, his legacy. People who controlled those rights became extraordinarily wealthy. People who had nothing to do with his talent, nothing to do with his work. Michael himself had spoken publicly about feeling threatened. In interviews, he warned that powerful people in the music industry wanted to destroy him. He said he was being targeted, that there were those who wanted him silenced permanently. Many of his closest friends and family members have said they never believed his death was an accident. His mother Katherine Jackson, his sister LaToya, his brother Jermaine. All of them have publicly questioned whether the full truth was ever told. LaToya Jackson said directly, Michael was murdered. And she said she knew who was responsible. But she was afraid to say more. The official investigation was closed. Conrad Murray was released, and the case was buried. But the questions have never gone away. Why was a doctor administering a surgical anesthetic in a private bedroom with no emergency equipment? Why did Murray wait so long before calling for help? Why were so many phone calls made by Murray in the minutes before he called 911? What was he doing in those missing minutes? Why did Michael Jackson tell people close to him that he felt something terrible was about to happen? Why did he seem to know that time was running out? And most importantly, who truly benefited from the death of Michael Jackson? These questions have been asked for years. By fans, by investigators, by people who loved him. And not one of them has ever received a satisfactory answer. On the night of June 24, 2009, Michael Jackson played with his children, performed on stage like a god, and went home to sleep. He never woke up. The greatest performer in history. Gone at 50, alone in a bedroom, with a doctor who left him, in a world that had spent years trying to destroy him. Was it really just negligence? Was Conrad Murray really just a careless doctor who made a terrible mistake? Or was Michael Jackson deliberately silenced? At the exact moment he was about to reclaim his throne, the vault is open. The question is yours. What do you think really happened to Michael Jackson? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe to Dark Vault, because the truth is always darker than you think.